I was drafted from out of Washington, Pennsylvania, right following graduation from college. So I was drafted before Pearl Harbor, and we went into the. Those that were drafted under the slogan of "Goodbye, dear. I'll be back. You'll be back in a year." So nobody minded being drafted, but when Pearl Harbor came along, it changed and changed everything. And so we were in. I was in 4 or 5 years, somewhere between 4 and 5 years, and first I had no ambitions. I would say, well, I will serve a year or so and I'll be out, and I don't care what. I was drafted and I was put in with the MPs. And I didn't like that very well. That didn't seem to be. I was a college graduate. I didn't think I ought to be in the MPs. Okay, the commander of the unit that we were with had a dog, and he was wanting a doghouse. And so when I went over to him, and I told him I had some training. I went to work for Hazel Atlas Glass Company right after graduation, and I was on the drafting board at that point. So I had some experience in it, and so I could draw him up a doghouse if he wanted one. And he said, "Fine, do that." And so I did, and he looked at it and he said, "It looks okay. That's what we'll go with." And I said. By the way, I would like to get a release from this squadron that I'm in, but they told me that I needed an equal. That's not the exact thing, but I needed somebody to take my place. If I would take the place out of the MP squad, well, nobody is going to voluntarily come into the MP squad. And so that was a very difficult thing to do, but the commander there was able to take care of that, and so then I was able to. Then Pearl Harbor came along.
Where were you at the time that Pearl Harbor was attacked?
At the time of Pearl Harbor, I was in the base. Right next to Mexico, and so we several of us decided to go and see what Mexico looked like. And when we were over in Mexico, they were all talking about it, and they told us that the Pearl Harbor had been attacked by the enemy. And that's how I heard about it. Was we were just in Texas for no good reason, and not in Texas. We were in Mexico for no good reason, and so then it became more and more important.
What are your most vivid memories about the war?
I like the governorship. I like the fact that you were a part of a working unit, and that they had rules and regulations, and that you had to follow them. I think I was impressed with that for the first time in my life, that you were going to do that, whether you like it or not, and it was a good experience, and I had no complaints about. I was in a good unit, and I liked my service.
Now, where did you serve during the war? Did you leave the United States?
I did. The longest one was over to Asia, over to Africa, where they were. They had the service was going to the air service. Was crossing Africa and into China. I guess it was China, and doing taking people over and doing. They were trying to. They were there over there to prevent the Russians and from going any farther. And And so I had a weather
You
station.
were a meteorologist?
Meteorologist, yeah. I had a weather station. They sent me to Caltech. They sent me to Caltech in California for about 9 months to learn something about it. And, I think I went to Caltech because I had a high mark when they enter. Everybody enters the service; they're given a test, and I had a high mark for some reason. And so they sent me down to Caltech, and Caltech is a graduate school. I never heard of a graduate school until I was sent to Caltech, and I wished I'd never heard of it again. It was very difficult to go to a graduate school where they expected you to go to the library and do things. They just throw something at you and you go to the library, but you'll be quizzed on it sooner or later. You've got to read this stuff, and that was my response, and I didn't like it too well. However, I did get my commission, and then I was sent to Africa for one of the stations in Africa online.
You became a lieutenant?
Yeah, lieutenant. Yeah.
Okay. And then you went. You said you were in Africa for a while.
Yeah.
But you had been. You also went to some other places.
On the south tip of Africa. One of them was in the middle of Africa. One of them, the last one was on the Mediterranean, and it was the best one of them all. They had beautiful food. They had great food. So over the 4 years that I was there, I went to 3 different places in that part of the country.
In Africa, I understand that at one point you were in Iran for a while.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to ask you is, did the war change you in any way? Did it change your outlook on life? Did it change your outlook on the world or on America? What did it change about you?
Yeah, I did get a good impression of the service and life at that age of going into it. I had no direction. I think a lot of people at my age, they really have no direction. But some of them have ancestors or their uncle or somebody has a farm, has to do something. They're down there, and they know what they're going to do when they get out of college. I did not know, and a lot of people did not want to do it. But I think the service helped formulate your some growth in you that was good in later life. You could do something. You didn't just fool around. You were able to take some direction.
And did you find that it gave you some direction?
Yeah, I did. I went after the service. Then, and I had some help from my time in the service. Well, I didn't have all my time in the service. I didn't know what I was going to do with this time. And the money that they were paying me, so I did go for a flight. I took flying lessons, and to use up some of the money at the time it was going to occur. But after that, then I was able to find the school that I wanted to attend in Troy, New York, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Was the 2 years that I had there, and that's where I learned about construction and design and things like that. And it was excellent training. I was so happy. I got a good impression of the service, and I got good favors from the service.
Did you lose any friends while during the war?
Did I lose any?
Did you lose any friends to combat in the war?
I think I did, but I can't remember who. Maybe one or two. Not a lot. Maybe one or two. They were in the service. Where there were more fatalities. In the Air Force, we didn't have all that nearly so much as some of the other services, I believe. So I would read about them in the newspaper my aunts would send me a clipping of somebody who had passed away. And so there were some of those, but not particularly good friends. No, I don't think I lost a friend.